This podcast is an RPPFM production.
The following episode contains some coarse language and descriptions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to
I
Think
My
Fridge
is
Haunted.
I
got you there.
Hey, I thought I was having an aneurysm. Okay. Like, oh God, my hearing aid has failed me today.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hi guys.
And if you're new, welcome.
And if you're current, then hey, hello again.
Yeah, and guess what?
This is our last episode of 2019.
Well, technically, if you're listening to this, you are already in 2020. But it's definitely the last episode of season 1.
Yes, season 1, guys. This isn't it for us. We're having a bit of a break because we need to rest our heads.
We're murdered out.
Plus, I'm studying a degree that I have to focus on. So,
And for me, it's like...
you got stuff on too.
yeah, I got stuff.
Yeah, you got Jason Momoa's to watch.
We just found out that Esther doesn't watch Game of Thrones.
No, I don't. I don't have whatever TV it's on. What's it on? What platform is it on? Netflix? Because I have that, but I haven't seen it.
No, it's Foxtel show.
Well, that's why I haven't seen it. And at JB Hi-Fi, it's like $60. So
all right, well, when the price comes down, get it and watch it and binge it, and then we can
okay. Apparently, it's
speak
good.
Dothraki together.
I do like dragons a lot.
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
Get your dragon fix.
Get my dragon. Oh.
Anyway, so what's been going on anyway? What's been happening? I see that you've reblonded.
Yes. Well, the regrowth was coming through and I was looking more and more like Napoleon Dynamite because my hair just isn't a perm. So my friend Alex decided to bleach it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I have no concept of time or space, I sat in the bathroom on my phone for too long and it went from just like a light silver tone to now it's basically blue or like it's quite violet. I look like an anime character. I could go to a cosplay convention and not have to even dress up. I look like a white girl who's trying to be Japanese. Who's trying to be a Japanese anime boy. I like
it. It's cute. It's a little bit. It's lavender.
It is lavender. Look, I love it. It's
nice.
I love the color, but I'm next after this because I'm sick of going blonde. It's gonna go grey, like dark, like stone grey, and then going black. But I'm keeping it short.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
How are you going, girl?
I'm going good. No hair changes for me. No. Nothing really. I don't know.
Same.
I don't really have any news.
I don't even know what date it is at the moment.
It was really hot today.
Yeah, 41, guys. Gross.
I took my dog out at 7:30 this morning, and even at like that time,
it was warm.
We got to the park, and he looked at me, and there was like 5 dogs all messing around. My dog's kind of old, and he looked at me, and he's like,
"Can we go home?
I'm hot."
Oh, honey.
I was like, "Okay."
Well, I was out of my house at 5:30 a.m.
Really?
And it was already 18 degrees.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been a hot one.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the time you guys have this episode, hopefully we're all still here. Hopefully the world hasn't spontaneously combusted.
Well, Melbourne at least.
That's it. That's it. Do we have any housekeeping?
Oh yeah, I wanted to also mention. So 2 episodes ago, I did the poltergeist from Thornton Heath.
Yeah.
And I said in a future episode, I'm going to do the 1930s version.
Yes.
Because there was 2 Thornton Heath poltergeists, one in the 70s, one in the 30s. Found out the 30s one was a big old hoax.
Oh, what?
So I just want to... No, I don't want anything to do with that.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. So that's why I did Kelly Cahill.
Yeah. Kelly Cahill was...
Which was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, but I just... In case anyone was wondering, that's why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I found that out, I was like... I was just not feel. I have to feel the story. I have to feel the spark.
You got to feel it in your waters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it just was not... motivating me. So
Yeah,
I was
no,
like,
that's
no,
cool.
move on. Otherwise, it's just not going to be fun.
Yeah. What date will this podcast be released? This episode?
That's a good question.
Is it in 2020?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be like second week of 2020.
Oh, sweet. Guys, on the 31st, I think, of January, Netflix and Cabaret, is on. Come down, because I'm in it.
Hang on, isn't it Netflix and Chill Cabaret?
No, it's Netflix and Cabaret.
Is it?
Hang on. Sorry, Izzy.
Okay. So what she's telling us about is there's a show in Melbourne, a burlesque show that usually happens at 24 Moons
Yeah,
Bar
it's like 24 Moons.
in Northcote.
And
all the burlesque acts are based on TV
Netflix.
shows. So
So if you guys want a show in the new Netflix... Oh, you're right. It's Netflix and Chill Cabaret.
yeah.
Oh, my God. I've been promoting it wrong. I'm sorry.
So I'm guessing you're not going to be doing Game of Thrones?
No. Oh, my God. Should I give away my number? I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I want to know.
I'm doing a Cath Day night special.
Oh my God, amazing.
It's going to be so funny.
Hilarious.
It's going to be so friggin'... I'm so excited. It's just going to be a compilation over like Kylie Minogue of just Cath saying weird stuff. And like there's a section when she's like dancing to an Aboriginal didgeridoo, it's great. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, I can't come that night. We've got a family birthday.
Well,
damn it. Are you going to do it again sometime?
Yeah, I'll reuse it.
I hope so.
Definitely put it on rotation.
Yay.
I'll just do it out on your driveway.
Cool.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't have a driveway, but
Well, I'll do it on your footpath.
I have a deck.
I'll do it on your deck. I'll didgeridoo on your deck.
Cool, thank
All
you.
Now,
All right.
Oh, facts.
Facts from the freezer. Do you want to go
Jesus.
first or do I?
Yeah, you can go first. I went first last time.
Because I've got a rad one.
Go, mate.
I've literally written WTF. Here
Why the face?
in
Go.
Okay. A study published in 2013 suggests that dogs carefully choose where they go to the toilet because they are sensitive to the Earth's magnetic field.
What?
And prefer to poo when they are positioned along a north-south axis.
That's hilarious.
Study included 70 dogs of 37 breeds. Now, let's test you. Never eat soggy wheat bix. North-south axis.
I don't know what that... North-south. Never eat soggy... So it's in the middle of...
Up, down, basically.
Okay. Well, I didn't get that right anyway, so it's fine.
So isn't that weird? So
That's
now every
hilarious.
time I go to dog park, I'm going to be getting out my Apple phone
Yes.
compass.
If we ever get lost in the middle of nowhere and we have
Follow
a
the
dog with
poo.
us, we just wait for it to do a poo and then we're like, okay, we're on the right track. Well, apparently, same with there's apparently when dogs poo, you know how they give you that little like look when they're doing a poo and they'll look over at you and they'll do like this, like the weird like droopy eyes.
Vulnerable look.
Yeah, it's because when they're pooping, that's when they're most vulnerable.
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
they'll look at other animals to be
They
let
look
me just
around
do my
like,
thing.
Oh, I hope a lion doesn't come
Exactly,
out of
they do
the
like the
bushes.
little like worried like
Yeah.
squeeze it out. Yeah. I do the same look when I'm on the toilet. Okay, my fact from the freezer. Prisoners arrived at Auschwitz just days after McDonald's was founded in America. Isn't that weird?
That de-escalated fast.
Typical Esther, bringing
okay.
down the mood.
Hang on a minute. People went to Auschwitz just days after McDonald's was founded.
So, yeah, Auschwitz was still happening. No, prisoners arrived at Auschwitz. So it 1940. So that's like the beginning of Auschwitz.
I thought McDonald's wasn't till like the 50s. Really?
Well, it started off as a tiny little restaurant.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was that old.
Well, there you go.
Can you imagine? That like puts it into perspective,
Massive
doesn't
perspective.
it? That
Massive perspective.
The concentration camps really didn't happen that long ago.
No, they did not. I'm literally listening to last podcast on the left's episode on Joseph
Mengele.
Mengele.
I will never listen to
And
that
it is
episode.
Heavy, but it just puts into complete... It shows that there was a government run by serial killers. Like it was literally legalizing serial killing. It was making serial
Mass
killers
killing.
doctors.
Not even serial killers, mass killers.
Horrendous.
The worst things.
Absolutely crazy.
The worst.
Yeah. So
that is an interesting fact.
So next time you have your Big Mac or whatever, I don't know, say a prayer. I don't know. Jesus, God, don't ask me for advice, mate.
All right. Well, a fact from the freezer is a fact from the freezer.
It is. All right.
As long as we learned something.
As long as we learned something, which we did. Poop in Auschwitz. Okay. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay, so who's going to go first today?
I will, because mine's super heavy.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm going to blast through mine.
Well, I can't say that mine is going to bring us up to...
Yeah, but nothing can be worse. Probably the Holocaust is worse than my story, but my story's pretty effed up.
Okay, so why don't we finish the season officially on my story?
Yeah, I agree.
I've got a pretty cool haunting story.
Let's
so
do
let's
it.
finish on that.
All right. Sick.
And okay.
Now,
Go for it.
Trigger warning for this one. It has literally a slice of everything horrible in it. We're doing what did you call it before? Something crime?
Classic
crime
story.
Yeah, classic crime story. So, those that are like super into true crime will know him, but
Yes.
This will be a first time for a lot of people.
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's one of those stories. Yeah, if you're into serial killers, you'll
know
there's
it.
no way you
Yeah.
wouldn't have heard of this one.
And massive warning to those who haven't. But I'm doing the story of Albert Fish.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a heavy hitter.
It is. All right, tell us all about it.
Oh, I will. Albert Hamilton Fish was born May 19th, 1870 in Washington, D.C. He was the youngest child out of 3, and after his father died, his mother put him in an orphanage where he was constantly beaten and whipped.
Why did she put him in an orphanage?
Because she couldn't afford to look after the kids after the
Right.
father died. Yeah.
Wow.
It was common.
Okay.
Through this punishment, he soon found that he enjoyed the beatings, often giving him erections, which he would get teased about.
Mm-hmm.
In 1879, his mother found a job and was able to take Albert back. However, the life in the orphanage had changed him. I got all this info from Murderpedia,
Right.
but because I'm a massive, massive, massive fangirl, the last podcast on the left does an incredible story episode. I think they do 2 or 3 episodes on him.
Mm-hmm.
And they go into detail,
Right.
massive detail. They find stuff I couldn't find on the internet.
Okay.
At the age of 12, he had his first relationship with a telegraph boy. The telegraph boy introduced him to drinking urine and eating feces during sexual acts.
What the hell?
Yeah. It like early on, he just gets completely inducted into this world of really hardcore fetishes.
Yeah.
By 1890, Albert moved to New York, where he started working as a sex worker. During this time, he started raping young boys, a crime that he continued for many years. In 1898, his mother had him marry a woman who was 9 years younger than him. They had 6 kids. During that time, he was jailed for embezzlement, which he didn't mind because he was able to have sex with the other prisoners.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This guy.
It just gets way worse. After his sentence, he started working as a house painter, all the while still molesting young boys, mostly under 6 years old. At one point, a boyfriend of Albert took him to a wax museum where he saw a wax model of a bisection of a penis. And that's when he became obsessed with the idea of castration. While dating a mentally disabled man, Albert tried castrating him after tying him up to a chair. The man managed to escape. Albert started visiting brothels more regularly, requesting to be beaten. In January 1917, his wife finally left him. After the failure of his marriage, Albert began hearing voices, once rolling himself into a carpet after John the Apostle instructed him to.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure one of his...
We're going into Richard Chase sort of territory here.
Yeah, I think he was into really explicit sexual acts while he was younger, but I think at this point he had a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And you'll find out later that he was ruled sane.
Really?
Yeah. They found him to be sane.
Okay.
Yep. And one of his kids found him rolled up in the carpet. He had been there all night, rolled up in a carpet. Yeah. So he was still living with his kids.
Whoa.
In 1910, Albert was believed to have committed his first attack on a boy named Thomas Bedden. An attack, I mean like
violent attack?
Yeah. Like he was attacking as in molesting and raping, but I think this was crossing over into like
physical
lethal
violence and murder.
Exactly. In 1919, he stabbed a disabled boy. These victims of his were either disabled or African American because he believed they would not be missed. In 1924, Fish saw 8-year-old Beatrice Keel playing alone on her parents' farm. He approached her and offered her money to help him pick rhubarb in neighbouring paddocks. Beatrice started to follow Albert away from her home when her mum saw and chased Fish away. Later that night, he returned and hid in their barn where he slept. He was then discovered by the father and told to get off the property. In 1928, on May the 25th, Edward Budd posted an ad in the Sunday edition of New York World stating, "Young man 18 wishes position in country. Edward Budd, 406 West 15th Street." A few days later, on the 28th, Albert, who was now 58 years old, visited the Budd family in New York, wanting to hire Edward. He introduced himself as Frank Howard, saying he was a farmer from Farmingdale, New York, which is like...
the fakest of fake
right?
names.
It's like...
I'm a farmer from Farmingdale.
I'm a farmer from Farmingdale.
I'm a nail technician from Nailington.
From Nail Land. I just think it's... I was like, are you serious, you idiot? When he arrived at their house, he met Edward's younger sister, a 10-year-old girl called Grace. Albert became transfixed with Grace and promised Edward a job. Albert visited the Budds again, this time talking Grace and Edward's parents into Grace accompanying him to his sister's birthday party, quote unquote. Yeah. They agreed and Albert left with Grace and never returned. A whole 7 years later, after the abduction, the Budds received an anonymous letter.
7 years?
7 years.
Holy cow.
So there was someone that was pinned on the abduction, but obviously he was not guilty because it was
Hang
Albert.
on, but the little girl left with Albert to go to a quotation marks party.
They didn't have his real identity.
So they didn't actually
No,
know.
Albert was lying. He said his name was
They didn't know how to contact him. They didn't know where he lived.
Well, the mother was super illiterate. Illiterate? She could not read. What did he called himself Frank Howard. He wasn't a farmer. He lived in New York.
There is no Farmington.
It was all fake,
Probably.
obviously. He wasn't looking for a job. He wasn't looking to hire Edward. He was literally there to just like...
Oh, and let me take your child to
a... Well, that's the thing. He came in dressed really well. He was from the city. He bought them strawberries and cheese, I'm pretty sure. He was charming, and I guess from like this
and
little
he was promising
family.
the son a job.
Exactly, he was promising Edward a job.
So to them, he probably seemed like this businessman.
He seemed legit,
really
and he was a con artist. I mean, he went around. He had to move from place to place because people would report seeing the grey man or the boogeyman.
Yeah,
because there was just this. If you look at like a lot of people describing him, they literally described him as his skin was grey.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that from photos. He looks kind of like a skeletal...
He looks
sick man, doesn't he?
Yeah, so I think he was used to like conducting himself around people to sound like he was someone else because he was so used to like moving around and changing identities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, guys, this is the letter. It's pretty hardcore, so just bear with me. All right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. The letter read, Dear Mrs. Budd, in 1894, a friend of mine shipped as a deckhand on the steamer Tacoma, Captain John Davis. They sailed from San Francisco for Hong Kong, China. On arriving there, he and 2 others went ashore and got drunk. When they returned, the boat was gone. At that time, there was famine in China. Meat of any kind was $1 to $3 per pound. So great was the suffering among the very poor that all children under 10 were sold for food in order to keep others from starving. A boy or girl under the age of 14 was not safe in the street. You could go in any shop and ask for steak, chops, or stew meat. Part of the naked body of a boy or a girl would be bought out and just what you wanted cut from it. A boy or girl's behind was in the sweetest part of the body and sold as veal cutlet, bought the highest price. John stayed there for so long he acquired a taste for human flesh. On his return to New York, he stole 2 boys, one 7 and one 11, took them to his home, stripped them naked, tied them in a closet, then burned everything they had on. Several times every day and night, he spanked them, tortured them, to make their meat good and tender. First he killed the 11-year-old boy because he had the fattest ass, and of course the most meat on it. Every part of his body was cooked and eaten except the head, bones, and guts. He was roasted in the oven, brackets all of his ass, boiled, broiled, fried, and stewed. The little boy was next, went the same way. At that time, I was living at 409 E 100 Street, near Right Side. He told me so often how good human flesh was, I made up my mind to taste it. On Sunday, June the 3rd, 1928, I called on you at 406 W 15th Street. Bought you pot cheese and strawberries. We had lunch. Grace sat in my lap and kissed me. I made up my mind to eat her. On the pretense of taking her to a party, you said yes, she could go. I took her to an empty house in Westchester I had already picked out. When we got there, I told her to remain outside. She picked wildflowers. I went upstairs and stripped all my clothes off. I knew if I did not, I would get her blood on them. When I was all ready, I went to the window and called her. Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me all naked, she began to cry and tried to run down the stairs. I grabbed her and she said she would tell her mama. First I stripped her naked. How she did kick, bite and scratch. I choked her to death, then cut her in small pieces so I could take my meat to my rooms, cook and eat it. How sweet and tender her little ass was, roasted in the oven. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. I did not fuck her though. I could have, had I wished. She died a virgin. So that was the letter Mrs. Budd received, but she couldn't read it because she was illiterate. So she passed it on to Edward. Edward then gave it to the police. This letter obviously linked Albert to the police. He told his attorney once he was arrested that he did in fact rape Grace.
Did he sign the letter with his name?
No.
How did they connect it to him then?
I think he actually sent it in an envelope that had his address on it. He did something really stupid.
Whoa.
Like
okay.
the actual address had like initials on it that led back to where he was staying at the time.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So they did trace it back to him
Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah. They definitely got him. He confessed to his attorney that he did rape Grace, but he was such a compulsive liar that it can't be proved factual. We'll never know, obviously. After being arrested, he admitted other accounts of cannibalism. On February 11th, 1927, 2 boys were playing outside, both named Billy. Both boys disappeared. Billy Beaton was later found on a rooftop. When asked where Billy Gaffney went, Beaton said, "The boogeyman took him." Albert Fish, of course, was also known as the Grey Man, the boogeyman, and the werewolf of Wisteria. Later, a driver saw a photo of Fish in the newspaper and identified him as the old man he saw on February 11th hanging around the 2 boys. Now, he wrote another letter, and I'm going to read it to you. Okay. I brought him to the Riker Avenue dumps. There is a house that stands alone, not far from where I took him. I took the boy there, stripped him naked and tied his hands and feet and gagged him with a piece of dirty rag I picked out from the dump. Then I burned his clothes, threw his shoes in the dump. Then I walked back and took the trolley to 59th Street at 2 a.m. and walked there from home. Next day, about 2 p.m., I took tools, a good heavy cat of nine tails, homemade, short handle, cut one of my belts in half, slit these halves in 6 strips about 8 inches long. I whipped his bare behind till the blood ran from his legs. I cut off his ears, nose, slit his mouth from ear to ear, gouged out his eyes. He was dead then. I stuck the knife in his belly and held my mouth to the body and drank his blood. I picked up 4 old potato sacks and gathered a pile of stones. Then I cut him up. I had a grip with me. I put his nose, ears, and a few slices of his belly in the grip. Then I cut him through the middle of his body, just below the belly button, then through his legs about 2 inches below his behind. I put this in my grip with a lot of paper. I cut off the head, feet, arms, hands, and the legs below the knee. This I put in sacks weighed with stones, tied the ends and threw them into the pools of slimy water you will see all along the road going to North Beach. I came home with my meat. I had the front of his body I liked best, his monkey and peewees and a nice little fat behind to roast in the oven and eat. I made a stew out of his ears, nose, pieces of his face and belly. I put onions, carrots, turnips, celery, salt and pepper. It was good. Then I split the cheeks of his behind open, cut off his monkey and peewees and washed them first. I put strips of bacon on each cheek of his behind and put them in the oven. Then I picked 4 onions, and when the meat had roasted about 1/2 an hour, I pulled about a pint of water over it for gravy and put in the onions. At frequent intervals, I basted his behind with a wooden spoon, so the meat would be nice and juicy. In about 2 hours, it was nice and brown, cooked through. I never ate any roast turkey that tasted half as good as his sweet, fat little behind did. I ate every bit of meat in about 4 days. His little monkey was as sweet as a nut, but his peewees I could not chew. Threw them in the toilet.
Psycho.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He's a bad one.
He's the worst.
He's worse than Richard Chase in my opinion.
Yeah, you actually might be right.
Yeah. Albert Fisher's trial for the premeditated murder of Grace Budd took place on March 11th, 1935 in New York. The trial lasted for 10 days. Fish pleaded insanity, blaming voices from God telling him to kill children. Multiple psychiatrists confirmed Fisher's list of sexual fetishes, such as coprophilia, which is eating feces, urophilia, which is drinking urine, pedophilia, and masochism, which is like violent acts. But there was obvious disagreement as to these fetishes having nothing to do with being insane. They were just very horrendous fetishes.
Okay.
Albert's 17-year-old stepdaughter even testified, describing various games Albert forced her sisters and brothers to play that involved masochism. Is it masochism? Masochism.
That's all right.
Just masochism. There you go. You can
if he had
replace
a
it.
stepdaughter...
From his... I think he actually had... I'm pretty sure he had 2 wives.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure at one point he was...
Oh
Because that's the thing. He had women.
Ugh.
Throughout this, he had women.
How?
I don't know. Because he also stunk. He was super filthy.
Gross.
He didn't bathe. He was... Wait till I get to some of the stuff he did to his own body.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to play these games, and it also involved child molestation. The jury found Albert Fish to be sane and guilty and was given the death sentence. Which is great.
Good.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, January 16th, 1936, Fish was executed in the electric chair at the Sing Sing prison in New York. It was believed it took 3 minutes for him to die, but there were rumors it took longer due to what was found riddled throughout his body, which I think Gemma's nodding her head, she knows.
I know. Chris, you're going to love this. Our producer is not impressed right now.
So throughout his life, Albert Fish used to self-torture for sexual pleasure, and he used to insert needles into his body between his rectum and scrotum. And this is a quote from one of the psychiatrists. He told me of doing it to other people too, especially children. At first, he said he had only stuck these needles in and pulled them out again. Then he had stuck others in so far that he was unable to get them out, and they stayed there. X-rays showed there were at least 29 needles in various states of erosion. So some of these needles in the X-rays were like decaying because they had been there so long, and they were rusting down to nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, there were years worth of needles. He also used to get the stems. He used to get roses with the spiky stems and insert the whole rose, like the whole stem up his penis.
Holy
And then he'd
cow.
pull it out. And then he'd eat the stem.
Okay.
Yeah. He was
Again, sane?
Mate, he's very scary. Apparently, before his execution, I think his last quote was, "I have no idea why I'm here." So,
In the execution chair.
yeah.
Anyway,
But
he's gone now.
He's one of the worst
That's
guys.
the main thing.
I literally did a really brief account on him. If you want to know more about him, there is so much info. He's really, really, really sick.
Would he be classed as a serial killer?
Yes.
Okay, so he was indicted for the death of Grace.
Yeah.
What about Billy?
Yeah, well, that was a later confession. So I think he was killed. He was put to death for
The two murders?
for Grace.
Yeah.
And then after Billy, I think they just maybe added that on because he was getting death anyway.
So technically there was no trial for Billy.
I don't think there was.
Okay.
But there were other victims. I think it said there were up to 10 victims that he potentially killed. But the thing with him is you never know because he was a compulsive liar.
And a fraud and a con man.
Completely. So like they could prove some things, like the history with self-mutilation and the molestation, the rape, and and Grace.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some things, like a lot of criminals do. Once they get incarcerated, they'll sit there and they'll confess to all these crimes and they'll bring stuff up. Mm-hmm. We'll never know with Albert Fish, but from his track record and like the amount of like violence through these acts, they believe there were about 10 other victims.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he's gone.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I can say.
He's disgusting.
Yeah.
Scary.
Okay.
And guys, look at a photo of him. I'll put it on
He's disgusting.
Instagram, but he looks like a skeleton. Old man. Old smelly, grey, stinky man.
I wonder if his kids changed their name because it's such a distinctive name.
Fish. Yeah. I think he may have changed his name.
He would have had a fair few descendants if he had, 6 kids?
Yeah. Let's see. I think he actually... Because he originally was called, it was a weird name and he changed it because he didn't want to be teased. He was named after Hamilton Fish, a distant relative, but he wished to be called Albert after a dead sibling and to escape the nickname Ham and Eggs. So, yeah, Fish is his surname.
Okay.
But...
He added on the first name.
Yeah. Because Ham and Eggs, which I think is... I don't really get it.
Hamilton, ham and eggs.
Where does the eggs come
I
from?
don't know.
Anyway. Yeah, disgusting.
100 years ago. Anyway, he's gone now.
Yeah, he's gone, guys.
Shall we take a break?
That's palate cleanser.
Ugh. Let's talk about something fun after.
Yeah.
And we're back.
And we're back.
We're so back with a well-deserved break.
Guys, I hope you went and got some red lollies or something to pick you back up.
Whiskey.
Rum.
Yeah, it's a heavy one.
Yeah,
it's
and
a really
I
heavy
did a
one.
real soft version.
That was a soft version?
That was a soft version, dude. I'm telling you.
I'm shocked.
That is a soft version.
Holy
there was stuff that I left
cow.
out that was vomitous.
Really?
Yeah, man. Like, guys, last podcast on the left, Albert Fish, they go into detail.
Okay.
Detail. Yeah.
Well,
those guys get paid to actually research stuff and we don't. We have to fit it in between our jobs.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, listen, I've got a fun story.
Yay.
It's not meant to be fun, but it's interesting. It's
going to be more fun than mine. Let's do it to it, my dudes.
I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
Okay. So today I'm doing one of my favorite haunting stories. And I'd be interested to see if you've ever heard of this one. It's the San Pedro haunting. Jackie Hernandez. Have you heard of that one?
No.
I love this one. I love this one. I'm so excited to tell you all about this.
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay. Get comfortable.
She's really excited.
I'm
cute.
super excited. Okay, so this story takes place between 1989 and 1990. And involves a lady named Jackie Hernandez. And there's also a weird coincidence that I found out. So in the last episode, I did Kelly Cahill.
Yes.
And there is a significant date in that 8th of August where her encounter happened, where something significant in this story happens on the 8th of August. And I was writing it, I was like, oh my God, that's so weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to it.
Anyway, so Jackie is a young mum going through some really tough times.
Yeah.
When this story begins. She's going through a divorce. She's struggling to live on her own, looking after her child, 2-year-old Jamie. She's working multiple jobs. And on top of all that, she's expecting her second child.
Oh, God.
Tough times. So she's moved into a little old house in San Pedro in California.
Okay.
It's at this point where she begins to notice things going on around her new home. First, little things start to go missing, and they would turn up later. She felt as though she was always being followed and watched, and when she would turn around to see what was following her, nothing would be there. Sometimes she would hear knocking and banging sounds, but she dismissed them as figments of her imagination.
Yeah.
Until one night when she was watching TV, she saw something move in the hallway. It was a pencil holder which had levitated and was thrown across the hall. It was enough to convince her that the house was in fact haunted. She ran to her neighbor Susan's house and called the police.
Oh, honey.
And
But I think that's a reaction of being legitimately scared.
yeah, I mean, who else do you call? Like, the police are supposed to help.
I always think it's cute when you hear of people calling the police when there's ghosts. I just think that's such a like sweet thing because the police are just people too. Like they're not like paranormal
They're not trained
professionals.
for this.
Yeah, so like what are
Exactly.
they? I mean, you'd want protection. I get it.
I think the best you can hope for is that one of the police officers are one of us. And in that,
Yeah.
what I mean is a fridgie.
Yeah,
You know,
and it won't like judge you. Be like,
yeah, and just
"Oh."
say, listen, I don't think this is a job for us. I think you need to call a priest
Yeah.
or somebody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
She ran to her neighbor Susan's house, called the police. Obviously, they couldn't help.
No.
And she knew she had to go back to the house eventually, even though she was so scared. Susan had also seen odd things happening inside the house. She had witnessed so this is the next door neighbor now.
Oh, okay.
So she had witnessed a painting falling off the wall and also a lamp being moved on its own.
Yep.
So Jackie felt that she wasn't so alone because Susan had seen what was going on.
Another witness, I guess.
Yeah. The strange occurrences continued around the house. The cat started acting strange, which when I read that, I was like, well, cats are pretty weird anyway. It was chasing shadows and running around. So
Oh, my cats do that.
that's just Tuesday at my
They're
house.
just following Sky Rangers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that happened quite often. There was this bed in her house that would collapse over and over again. So it would just break. She would hear voices coming from up in the attic. That was another sort of thing that would happen quite a lot.
Now that's creepy.
And she described it as being like mumbling.
Ooh.
And one day she was washing dishes in the kitchen, and she had a friend over who was actually the babysitter.
Yeah.
They noticed a red substance running down the walls.
I think I have heard of this.
Oh, yeah? It's a pretty famous one.
I think I have.
Yeah.
It sounds super... Unless all these, I guess, quote-unquote symptoms are just very common in, like...
Yeah, I mean,
Very,
a lot
very
of these
haunted
are
houses.
stuff that we've heard before. I
Yeah.
mean, banging in the house. We've
Walls
heard of that.
bleeding.
We've heard of that
things
with the
being
Donovan case.
thrown.
We've heard of that with the
Beds
Thornton Heath.
breaking.
Yeah. Anyway, the red oozy stuff coming down the walls apparently was proven to be blood plasma.
Oh, that's
So-
nuts. I love that.
Whatever. One night, so soon her daughter was born. However, the haunting got worse when that happened. One night, Jackie got up to use the bathroom, and on the way, she saw an old man,
Great.
and he did not look very nice.
Albert Fish.
Oh my God. I think he would have looked like Albert Fish.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing.
So then he just disappears.
Great. Just what you want. An old man to be in your hallway and then
Glaring at you.
Then not to know where he's gone.
The babysitter, Christina, had seen some of the things going on in the house, including the blood-like substance running down the kitchen walls. And she said, in the beginning, it was all we talked about. Everyone thought we were crazy.
Aww.
One night, Jackie had a dream that she was a young man. He was at the San Pedro Harbor, but it was in times past, probably in the 1930s.
Ooh.
He was being attacked by someone who beat him with a lead pipe and then drowned him.
Jesus. That is quite a dream.
Yeah. Jackie's neighbour Susan put her in contact with a paranormal investigator called Barry Taff, Dr. Barry Taff, in fact, and she'd seen him on TV. So I went to his website, which is barrytaff.net,
Yep.
and Dr. Taff, he's a parapsychologist. He worked out of UCLA's parapsychology laboratory from
Parapsychologist.
Yeah.
A paranormal psychologist?
Yeah.
So who is he interviewing?
What do you mean?
Like, who is he counseling? People who have seen...
Parapsychologists are basically, I'm not sure that they necessarily work exclusively with people. I think a lot of it is case study and...
Oh, okay. Right. So they're not working face-to-face with someone who needs counseling.
I think it probably involves a lot of different things, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's your usual, person on the couch talking
I've
about their problems.
never heard of a parapsychologist.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's not really a phrase that's used as much these days. It's a very sort of 70s phrase.
That's nuts.
Mm.
Okay, cool.
So Dr. Taff, he actually worked at UCLA's parapsychology laboratory from 1969 to 1978. Today, he's investigated about 4,500 paranormal cases, including the famous Entity case in 1974. Have you heard about that? The Entity?
No.
There's documentaries about it on YouTube. And he's been on loads of TV shows such as A Current Affair, Joan Rivers, Montel Williams, Sightings, and Australia's The Extraordinary. One of the best shows ever.
Girl.
He's also written a book, Aliens Above, Ghosts Below, Explorations of the Unknown.
Damn, what a career.
Yes. So this is where the famous part of this case comes into the story. On the evening of August 8th,
Here we go.
that's the night Kelly Cahill was abducted. How
Here we go.
weird.
It's not the same year.
Not the
though,
same
right?
year. It was
Okay.
4 years earlier.
I'm going to quickly look up what I did on the 8th of August this year.
Did you get abducted by aliens or did you
Well, I
call a
don't know.
parapsychology
I've been having
team?
really bad memory loss, so maybe so.
Okay, so on the 8th of August 1989, Dr. Taff and 3 investigators came to the Hernandez home to interview Jackie. They had a lot of equipment and it was pretty high tech for the time. They had cameras, infrared detectors, and other sorts of gadgets.
Good, they're prepared.
Yes. Dr. Taff said during the interview they kept hearing what sounded like a 200-pound rat running around the attic.
200-pound rat.
I would love a 200-pound rat.
Wouldn't they just describe that as like a small child?
200 pounds. That's
How
like,
much is 200 pounds?
adult man?
Gross.
Like a Great Dane.
Oh, mate, that's a bit too much for me.
I would love that. Like, come up on the sofa and cuddle me.
Okay, the 8th of August
Yeah.
for me is a video of my cat on top of the heater. So nothing that significant.
Which cat is that?
That's Dr. Fantasty.
Oh, you were telling us about him last week.
Look at him.
Cute.
So nothing too cray-cray.
Look at his little black nose.
Look at his
He's
little
just like a
mushy
little
baby boy.
Smush.
Mushy mush. Oh,
right.
tired eyes.
I'm going to look where I was on the 8th of August.
You look it up too.
Oh, I don't have anything on the 8th of August. On the 7th, I've got a video of one of my rats eating a treat. And
I love how around that same time we were both just documenting our pets doing stupid things.
yeah, but I literally take photos and
Baby,
stuff of my
what a
rats like all the time.
snuggle.
And on the day out, oh look, he's licking my husband's hand.
So cute.
I love doing that. And on the next day is a picture of our logo.
Yeah, that is
The
weird.
I think my fridge is haunted logo. So that is weird.
That's weird. Okay.
Anyway,
Back to the haunting.
back to the haunting. So they think that there's a giant rat in the attic. They also experienced a feeling of pressure around them as if they were underwater.
No.
And he says apparently this is a common occurrence in haunted houses.
Yuck.
They prepared to go up into the attic to investigate. Also, I forgot to mention another thing that happened was there was a really bad smell in the house when they got there. So
Ooh, you know what that means?
ghosts, demons,
Yeah.
demons.
If it's meat, if it's like rotting meat, and if it's sulfur, then that's usually demonic.
It didn't specify
Specify.
what the smell actually smelled like. So one of the investigators named Jeff Wheatcraft went up into the attic with Barry Conrad, another investigator. While up there, a disembodied force grabbed Jeff's camera out of his hands and threw it across the attic.
Ugh.
Then it pushed him.
I would rather be pushed because cameras are so expensive.
Well, that's it. Exactly. And it's just disrespectful.
Ugh.
The investigators left for the night, and I've seen an interview with Jackie saying that they just left without helping her at all, and she was like frantic.
That's
She
sad.
really needed help.
This
And
poor girl.
And they're like, oh, we just want to come in and document the ghost stuff, like, you know. So
At least give her a sage stick or something.
something, you know. So she told him, she's like, I'm worried about the safety of my children.
Yeah. And
So-
her baby.
Well,
her
yeah,
brand new
exactly. She's got like a
baby.
3-month-old.
Jesus.
So Dr. Taff said that he would prioritise her case and
Good.
bring his team back to conduct a second investigation. So on the 4th of September, the team returns to the house and again they head up to the attic. And this is like the bit that everybody remembers about this case. So this time Jeff is attacked again and had a cord wrapped around his neck attached to a
Nice.
nail that was nailed into an
Oh,
exposed
what?
beam. And A photographer called Gary Boehm was also in the attic, and he rushes over to help Jeff. Jeff takes a moment to recover and explain to the others what happened. Then he left the house and he never returned.
No, well, you wouldn't.
He was pretty freaked out. So here are the pictures from when that happened.
What?
It's pretty 80s.
What? Is that the rope attached to him?
So it's like a cord, like an electrical cord.
It's almost
or
like he's being hanged.
Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden it just appeared around his neck.
What?
And he's like hanging from this nail.
It's like it's
So
literally like
the other investigator had to help him like get this thing off his neck.
That's nuts. That's a really weird photo.
It is. Yeah.
That's
I think
something
there's
really off
definitely a
about it.
sense of shock in the photo where he's like,
he looks, well, obviously he looks very uncomfortable, but like he looks stressed, and it's literally, it's not something you could walk into. Like it looks like it's been tightened around underneath his chin. You know what I mean? It's not like this loose thing you could accidentally put your head through and you're caught. No,
exactly.
It's like it's a choker.
Tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty weird.
That is weird.
So Dr. Taff then said, "This is the first case I've ever been on where the phenomenon went after the researchers."
Wow. I mean, don't they do that on is it Ghost Hunters? A lot of the time the ghosts will like, what's that guy? What's that tacky guy?
Zach Bagans.
Zach Baggins. Don't they usually like go after him?
Do they though?
Yeah, I
Do
know. He's an
they?
idiot.
So a few months after, Jackie and her husband try to patch up their marriage, and they move 300 miles north to a trailer park in Kern County. And I did mean to look that up on Google Maps to see if it was actually 300 miles north, but I forgot.
That's fine because we have the kilometers and it all gets very confusing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter anyway.
So she felt as if she'd left the haunting back in San Pedro.
No, honey, don't tell me you followed her.
But after their attempts to fix their marriage failed, Jackie once again found herself alone and struggling. It was then that the phenomena returned.
Wow, so it must be drawn to like vulnerability and desperateness,
Exactly.
which I guess is kind of common.
And that's what Dr. Taff actually, like, that's what his theory was. So one day, this is a creepy story. This is a creepy part of the story. One day she was helping a couple of neighbours to store a TV in the shed. So, you know, back in those days, TVs were flipping massive. You needed like a team.
Yeah.
So all of them, all of a sudden, saw an image of the old man from the San Pedro house in the screen of the TV.
Whoa.
And what does that remind you of?
Albert Fish. Oh, Poltergeist.
No. Remember a couple of episodes ago we did in the Thornton Heath?
The old man.
The old man appeared in the TV. Yes.
Full circle moment.
Yes. What? After that, she was kept awake by someone pounding on the inside of the shed wanting to get out.
Don't let him out.
That's creepy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Dr. Taft's team travelled north to conduct another investigation, but they couldn't get their cameras to work. They kept switching off.
Super common.
That is common. So, of all things, she suggests they try a Ouija board session.
And look what we have here.
How convenient.
We just happen to have
a Ouija
a
board.
Ouija board tonight, guys. And it just happens to be the 8th of August.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not. It's December the 18th. Ew, I just put the microphone back in my mouth.
Oh my God. So the table shook as they connected with a spirit that explained the details they had been looking for about the haunting. Here is some of the Ouija board conversation.
Uh-oh.
How long have you been trapped? The answer was 60 years. Did you die in the house? The answer was no.
Okay, interesting.
Where did you die? The answer is San Pedro Bay.
Okay.
Did you drown? No, I was held underwater.
Oh, God, it's the boy from the dream.
Yeah, I guess. Pretty much. Then she says, did you live in the San Pedro house? And it says, my murderer lived there.
Oh, what?
Amazing.
The plot thickens.
Yes. The spirit also said that they had been born in 1912 and died in 1930. After doing some research, they found there was a man who had drowned there in 1930, but he was actually 28 years old, not 18. So I'm thinking Ouija board typo. Autocorrect.
I'm looking at my Ouija board. Yeah, well, look how close the 1 is to the 2.
I know. It's so easy to make a Ouija correct.
Like an autocorrect.
Bloody acrylics.
That's funny.
Okay, so Dr. Taff believes that the ghost of the old man is a Mr. John Damon, who originally built the San Pedro house. One day, she was staying with a friend in San Pedro, and she believes that John Damon visited her to say goodbye. And this is kind of sweet. She saw a bright light out in the garden, and she followed it down the street to a graveyard. The light hovered over a grave marked John Damon. It flew around the grave and then disappeared.
So do you think them contacting him released him?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, why would
Well,
he
they didn't
decide
really.
to
They didn't
leave
contact
now?
him. They contacted the boy who died because there's two ghosts.
Oh, so John Damon is the murderer.
No. So there's the boy who died at the harbour,
Yeah.
and he haunted the murderer's house.
Yeah.
And then there was the man that built the house.
And he was the one that
He's the grumpy
floated
old
to
man.
the graveyard.
Yeah, he's a grumpy old man, but he actually wasn't mean.
Oh, so... Right.
Yeah. So in the summer of 1990, Jackie moved back to Los Angeles, and the ghost followed for a while, but occurrences soon began to taper off. Dr. Taff concluded that the emotional stress during Jackie's divorce had attracted paranormal activity.
Right.
And gaining a sense of control in her life made the haunting dissipate, with no negative energy to latch onto. Jackie says she and the others have put the haunting behind them and have moved on. She says, however, I'm more scared of dying than when I was before. I have to say that again. She says, however, I'm more scared of dying than I was before. She says the ghosts may have been living in hell.
Aww.
However, she also said, I think I was fortunate to see and experience firsthand something that most people never see.
No.
And that is the story of Jackie Hernandez and
That's nuts.
the San Pedro haunting.
I wonder if her haunting also had something to do with her being pregnant. Because you hear of like a lot of like poltergeists are attracted to girls just starting their periods.
Yes, the hormones.
And like women going through a massive
it's a perfect
physical
storm.
change. Yeah.
The pregnancy, the divorce, the small child in the house.
Yeah.
Small children attract ghosts.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a mix of things.
Apparently, later tenants in the house over the years have also reported haunting occurrences as well in the house.
Damn.
Yeah, I hope you liked that.
I loved it.
So I guess that's season 1 done.
Yeah, season 1, episode 13.
Can you believe we made it this far?
Guys, thanks for hanging in there, and thanks for actually growing in listens.
And thank you we've had, at the time of recording, we've had over 800 listens in our first season, which is nuts.
Yeah, it's
more than we
crazy.
expected.
Totally. And like, I think our first episode when we first started this, I literally thought the only people who'd be listening would be like my mum and, you know, but
yeah, but
800 listens.
I don't know who these people are. I really don't.
No, God, reach out to us.
Yeah, I want everyone to follow us on Instagram because I want to meet everyone.
Yeah, talk to us, guys. We're very lonely.
Yeah, and we're always on Instagram.
Always social media.
Yeah, catch us. It's just I think my fridge is haunted on Instagram, and also I think My Fridge is Haunted on Facebook as well.
Yes.
And on Instagram, after we put up our shows, we will put up photos of the stuff that we talked about.
Totally. Yeah. So if you want to get visuals, like during the episode when we're talking about, we'll post this photo, we'll post that photo. We do post
Instagram
them all
is the place.
every Thursday morning.
Yeah.
The episode, once it's released on our digital platforms, then I post them all on Instagram, all the photos from the week. So get onto Instagram. We're really friendly. Talk to us. If you, we're going to have a lot of guests in 2020. We've got some cool guests lined up.
We've got loads of plans.
Yeah, there's some fun things happening. We're going to go to Paris. Apparently.
Well, we wanted to record an ad.
Yeah. Oh my God. Visuals are coming.
Visuals are coming.
And they're going to be funny.
Yeah.
They're going to be funny.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What else? Guests. We're hoping to maybe do an offsite recording.
Yes.
Maybe at a haunted location.
Yes. We would love to do a haunted location.
Yeah. And also we're still collecting people's ghost stories and stories of, sightings, anything that you have. Send us a message at our Facebook page.
Totally.
And we'll read it out because we've almost got enough now for an episode.
Yeah. And how cool would it be to have us read your story on air?
How cool.
How cool would that be, guys? You'd be in the cool club.
You'd be an official fridgie.
If you make it to being one of our guests, you get a cute little...
you get a gift.
You get a really unique, awesome gift.
Are we allowed to tell them what we give people?
Yeah, I reckon.
You get a Venus flytrap.
Which is so cool. It's like owning your own little monster.
Yeah.
And it's summertime, so there's going to be a lot of flies.
Yeah.
I think it's so great.
Grow it big, make it into the craziest Venus flytrap
I love it.
ever.
A Venus flytrap.
Okay.
How cool is that?
Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody.
Follow us.
We will see you. Follow us online.
Yeah, we're not disappearing. We'll be back. We just need a break.
Yeah, we just need a little break and we need time to research new stories.
Yeah,
so
we're running out of room.
Follow us online. Listen to season 1 again.
Yes.
Share it with your mates if possible.
Yep.
And be creepy.
But don't be a creep.
Woo!
Yay!
Berserkers. You guys were
Berserker
asking.
mode.
Berserker mode.
Because you said, is that a psychological term? It's not. It's historical.
Well,
So the
of
berserkers-
course it would
The
be.
Berserkers were
Aren't
don't
they
know
a
if they're really
Viking
mythical.
or something?
a Viking tribe
Yeah.
who would not wear armor. They would just go into battle
What?
with animal skins on or nothing.
Like the Dothraki.
What?
Exactly like the Dothraki.
What's the Dothraki?
Jason Momoa is at the lead. That's all.
Sorry, I don't watch that.
Game of Thrones.
No,
Daenerys is one of Daenerys' armies.
Yeah.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
And they would
Sorry.
just go into a kind of trance state and just go
Just go nuts.
Berserker
nuts.
mode.
And hence where we got the term berserk.
Whoa.
Berserk.